Update. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my parents for leaving everything to my brother? Original post. My 24 female brother, 32 male, is a failure to launch. He's never been very smart. He did badly in school and never went to college. He tried 2 different trade schools, welding and mechanics, but he basically flunked out of both. He works at a gas station now. My brother and I are our parents' only children. They always treated us relatively equally until adulthood. They always insisted we earn our own way and refused to pay for college or anything. I joined the military at 17, got an associate's degree while I was in, and my GI Bill went towards my bachelor's. I'm working towards my master's now. My husband and I have bought a house and have done well for ourselves. My parents, however, fully paid for my brother to try trade school twice. They've given him cash when he was behind on rent and countless loans. They support him cosplaying as an adult. Meanwhile, they never paid for my wedding, education, nothing. I don't really care so much that they didn't give me money, but the disparity in how they've treated me versus my brother bothers me. Our parents are in their 60s now, and while they aren't that old, they're both in bad health and probably won't live another 10 years. They just recently started working on their will and notified us that they were leaving almost everything to my brother. But they want me to be their medical power of attorney, manage their estate, etc. I told my parents to give my brother everything and that I'm completely done with them. They told me to have some grace and understand the fact that he isn't very capable and needs their support, even after they're gone. My mother had a doctor's appointment this morning and asked me for a ride since she medically can't drive. I told her to ask her favorite child or pay for an Uber. Things have been tense and hostile. My brother called me to apologize and asked me not to be mad at him. I told him that I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at our parents for not treating us equally and that he didn't do anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My mother refers to my brother as disabled even though he isn't. She's had him tested for every kind of learning disability there is. He just has a below-average IQ. She thinks that counts as a disability when it isn't. Now for the top comments before reading the update. But they want me to be their medical power of attorney, manage their estate, etc. This is a huge ask, even if you stood to inherit. That you're expected to do all the heavy lifting and then be your brother's keeper after they pass. It's a hell of a lot. It does not sound disabled to me if he went to 2 different trade schools, welding and mechanic. Just lazy. Odds are if he gets the money, it'll not last him long. Then he'll be looking to you to pay his bills. He's not disabled, but he's very unintelligent and has poor critical thinking skills. He doesn't really understand how to manage money at all, despite having been taught how. If his IQ is that low, he is intellectually disabled. An IQ below 75 is considered intellectually impaired. It doesn't excuse the implied favoritism. When they had us tested, mine was 131, I believe, and his was around 80. It's been so many years, I'm having a hard time remembering. It definitely was above the cutoff for being considered intellectually disabled, because I remember them being surprised that he scored above it. Info needed. Why can't your brother live with them? Help them and take them to appointments. Seems like the least he can do. Can he drive? Is he disabled? Or just lazy? They don't want to ask him. He's forgetful and they probably wouldn't be able to rely on him anyways. Now for the update. Hey, so the consensus on my post was a bit of a mixed bag. I sat down with my parents and I wanted to give an update and answer some stuff. My brother is not actually disabled. He just has a low IQ, just over 80. You need an IQ under 70 where I live to be considered disabled and to qualify for any sort of benefits. My parents have babied him because from a young age, he wasn't as smart as other kids and had a low self-esteem because of that and was quick to give up on things when they seemed too hard. He does okay on his own now. He works and pays his bills most of the time. He drives and lives with a roommate. On to the update. I sat down with my parents and explained that I've always felt like they treated me worse than my brother. They always emphasized to me that as an adult, you need to support yourself and figure things out on your own. I had to join the military at 17 because I knew they'd kick me out when I was 18. My parents never offered me any support outside of raising me as a child. They didn't buy my husband and I a wedding gift. They didn't offer much of anything. Meanwhile, they brag about having over $1 million in the bank and having succeeded from nothing. Meanwhile, they paid to put my brother through 2 trade schools that he failed out of, offered him money to start his own business. They've always bailed him out when he was short on rent. For me, it's not so much about the money, but about the disparity in how we've been treated. It's obvious that they loved and cared for him more because they were willing to do these things for him, and not me. But despite them not being there for me, I've still done really well in life. I told my parents about all of this, and they were interrupting me and talking over me the whole time. They told me I'm not entitled to a dime when they die, and that I'm an adult and can handle myself. They just weren't understanding or even caring about my point. They told me I need to step up and treat them better, and that it's wrong of me to not take my sick mother to the doctor or take care of her because of money. Eventually, I just gave up on trying to talk about my feelings. They just don't care. I told them that they're adults, and they're not entitled to anything from me. Just like how they were never required to help me, I'm not required to help them. I told them to completely remove me from their will. I'm not willing to be their estate executor, medical power of attorney, nothing. I don't want a dime from them at this point. And I suggested they spend all the money they've saved over the years to pay for good nursing homes and an estate executor because I'm no longer willing to do anything for them. My mother was floored and asked if I'd really put my own parents in a nursing home. I asked if they'd really let their 17-year-old daughter join the army to get sexually harassed by older men in order to go to school without taking on a huge debt. My parents cried and yelled at me, and I left. And that's that, I guess. I kind of feel relieved, like a massive weight is off my shoulders. I have a wonderful husband. We own a nice home. I'm getting ready to start working on my master's degree, and we're thinking about maybe having a baby soon. I no longer have to worry about dealing with my parents. They're adults, and they can deal with their own problems, just like I've done mine. And yeah, that's it. I'm not sure if it's the update we wanted, but it is what it is. They've spent so long using you as their personal doormat, they're not even able to break from their delusion that you'll keep presenting your face for them to step on. Congrats on your newfound freedom. It sounds like Opie has made peace with a really difficult decision, and I think it's brave that she stood up for herself and set boundaries. Not the a-hole. Your parents are the a-holes. I know this might be a sucky suggestion, but you may need to go no contact with your brother as well. He'll be stuck with your care, and there's going to be a high likelihood they'll tell him to reach out to you for help. Or your brother may take the easy way out and stick them in a nursing home, which they totally deserve. My brother is not a terrible guy. He makes bad choices sometimes, but at the end of the day, he's still my older brother, and he tries to be good to me. I wouldn't cut him off without a good reason. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my dad's birthday dinner after overhearing my sister's comment about my miscarriage? A few months ago, me, 28 female, and my sister, Ava, 33 female, realized that we were both pregnant. She's been struggling with infertility, so we were all happy for her. I have an older son, 2 male, with my husband, 32 male. Sadly, a couple of weeks ago, I lost my baby. We told my family. They were all supportive, but I did sort of pull away from them. They would have tried to avoid discussing Ava's baby around me, but I didn't want to overshadow her, especially since she's wanted this for a long time. I also didn't want to be reminded of my own loss whenever I saw her. So I haven't been to my parents' place for Sunday dinners since, or really spent time with Ava, which we had been doing a lot before. I replied vaguely to any messages about my absence. It wasn't the best communication for me. Yesterday, my parents were hosting family dinner for my dad's birthday. I'd been thinking about going because I missed my family. And while of course the pain of losing my child has not faded, I'm at a point where I can at least put it a little to the side to be there for my sister and my new niece when she is born. So I let my family know that we would be coming. However, we had to get a gift for my dad, and then my son had a bit of a tantrum, so he got to my parents' place about an hour late. I wished my dad a happy birthday, then went to the kitchen, where my mom, Ava, and my sister-in-laws were. But before I went in, I heard them say my name, so I stopped. My mom was saying something like, "Well, I guess Opie's not coming." And Ava said, "What did you expect? She probably changed her mind and is just staying home again. Honestly, I'm sorry for her, but you would think she was the first woman to ever lose a kid, and it's not even her first kid. They then kept talking about other things, but I just wanted to leave. I went and got my husband, who was with my brother-in-law, dad, and brothers in the living room. I told my dad I was really sorry, but we needed to go. They all protested, but my dad could see how upset I was, so he didn't. We got my son and left. When we got home, I just kind of cried for a while. My husband asked me what happened, and I told him. He was angry that she said that, but thought we shouldn't have abruptly left because my dad had been looking forward to seeing us, and my son missed his cousins. After this, I was feeling conflicted. Later, my brother texted me, saying my dad had been really upset about us leaving and brought it up at dinner, which caused a whole fight because my mom and Ava realized that I must have heard them talking, and my dad was mad about it. My brother said that it was pretty bad and wished I had just stayed so none of it would have happened. Obviously, Ava didn't mean for me to hear that. They were all just frustrated that I'd been AWOL for so long. Now I feel bad because I didn't mean to ruin dinner. Obviously, what Ava said was hurtful, but I can see how my actions might have led to her saying something out of anger, and I could have talked to her about it later instead of just leaving. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Jesus Christ. What is wrong with your family? It's been weeks since you lost your freaking baby. Weeks? You missed, what, 2 or 3 Sunday dinners? And this is how your mother and sisters speak of you? Then your brother wishes to rug sweep it all. Your family's clearly ridiculously non-confrontational, considering how it's been conditioned into you and your brother, because I would have stepped into that room immediately after hearing something so vile and told my father exactly why I was leaving. However, I understand that it was shocking, so I don't blame you for just leaving as opposed to breaking down or making a scene there. Even your husband is acting like you should have played along in those circumstances? Not the a-hole OP, but my lord, you're related to some troglodytes. You need to sit down and talk to your dad. He's on the right side of this, but even so, I don't believe he got the full story. There's no way they would own up to saying that. I agree with you. I see why OP distanced herself from her family initially. I think I would put that plan back into place more long-term. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cancel my vacation because my sister needs help with her kids? I, 34, booked a solo vacation months ago. It's a week-long trip to a quiet cabin in the mountains, and I've been looking forward to it for ages. I work a stressful job, and this trip is my way of decompressing and recharging. Last week, my sister Megan, 37 female, called me in a panic. Her babysitter quit unexpectedly, and she and her husband both have work commitments during the week I'm supposed to be away. Megan has 3 kids, all under 7, and asked if I could cancel my vacation to help her out. I felt bad for her, but told her no. I explained that this trip was planned long before her babysitter quit, and that I really needed a time away. I even suggested she try backup childcare services or ask one of her in-laws, but she insisted I'm her best option because her kids know me well. Megan didn't take my refusal well. She accused me of being selfish and said, "Must be nice to have no responsibilities and just do whatever you want." She's since rallied some family members who are now calling me out for abandoning her in a tough situation. I love my sister and my nieces and nephew, but I don't feel like it's my job to sacrifice something I've planned for months because of her lack of a backup plan. My parents are divided. My dad says I'm entitled to my time off, while my mom thinks I should step up for family. Now I'm wondering if I'm being too rigid or if I'm justified in keeping my plans. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cancel my vacation to help my sister with her kids? Now for the comments. Sounds like Grandma just volunteered, right? If she feels so strongly about family stepping up, maybe she could help out instead. Funny how people are quick to suggest what others should do, but aren't as eager to step in themselves. Inconveniencing someone else is easier. Definitely not the a-hole. You're entitled to your well-deserved vacation, especially since you planned it far in advance. It's unfortunate that your sister is in a tough spot, but her childcare issues aren't your responsibilities. Offering suggestions for backup childcare was thoughtful. She's the one being unreasonable by expecting you to cancel your plans entirely. Enjoy your trip and recharge guilt-free. Thank you for understanding. It's been a tough decision because I do care about my sister and her kids, but I really need this time to reset. I appreciate you pointing out that I tried to help by offering suggestions. I was starting to feel like I didn't do enough. She's right. It is nice to have no responsibilities. Being that carefree is compensation for missing out on the joys of motherhood, which is the path she chose. If you hadn't been on vacation that week, what would she have done for childcare? Suggest that she do that. Not the a-hole. I'm sure she would have figured out a solution if I weren't going on vacation. I get that parenting comes with challenges, but it doesn't mean I'm obligated to put my life on hold every time she has an issue. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad to accept I'm not going to travel to see his wife's son, who's a stranger to me? My parents are divorced and my dad has a wife. They got married 6 years ago and they met 8 years ago. She has an almost 10-year-old son. He lives with his dad in another state and I've only met him twice. I used to live equally with both of my parents until 3 years ago when I decided to live more with my mom. So I go to my dad's every other weekend now instead of every other week. And I'm 16, so I get some more sway in how I spend those 2 weekends a month with him. He doesn't get to demand a certain weekend like my parents could before. So my dad's wife's son is turning 10 soon, and they plan to fly out for his birthday. They said I needed to come with them. I said no and told Dad I'd see him another weekend. He told me we have to go as a family, and I need to see my brother. I rolled my eyes at him and told him my mom's boyfriend's kids are people I know better, and we don't call each other siblings. I also told him that his wife's kids and I share nothing, and we're strangers, so he needs to stop acting like we're connected. He told me it's wrong to say we're strangers, and that we're still family, even if we don't spend a lot of time together. And he said I need to make the effort to go. So I told him he needs to accept that I'm not going to travel out of state to see his wife's son who is, and always will be, a stranger to me. Dad said I was being disrespectful and dismissive, and that I should make the effort to get to know my only sibling and form a family. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I can never understand why so many parents try to force their kids into an unwanted blended family situation. It's weirder when there's such a big distance. We literally saw each other twice, and it's been so many years. That's not even blending families when it's like that. You can't force happy families. Your dad is delusional. You're right, he's wrong. Stick to your guns, not the a-hole. Right, and you can't really make strangers, not strangers like that either. And that's what we are. I don't know if he'd even remember me. I really don't remember much about meeting him.